Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday's proceedings here at the Commission. And before we continue, Imam, you have the floor. If you can offer some prayers, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين وإن تستفتحوا فقد جاءكم الفتح نصر من الله وفتح قريب وبشر المؤمنين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل والله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر وسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amen. Shukran, Imam C. Bishop, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Lord God Almighty, we continue to plead that you do have mercy upon your creation throughout the whole world, and particularly this nation, the Gambia. You have created each and every human being in your image and in your likeness. And you have created each and every person unique in his or our own right. We continue to ask that you give us that spirit of tolerance, so we'll be able to tolerate one another despite our differences. The Lord, that you will help us to realize that it is in I, Emir Baba F. Trawally,
Baba. I, Baba F. Trawally,
do swear that
I'll
speak the truth,
speak the truth,
the whole truth,
and
nothing but the truth.
nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Witness. You're welcome to the TRRC, and thank you for coming here today to testify. And you'll be testifying today on behalf of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat. And you'll be telling us about some of the attacks and wrongs that were done to that sect.
Thank you very much.
And having spoken to you this morning, you know who I am, but just for the record, my name is Hadi Dande Jabi, and we established that you'll be speaking in the English language this morning. Is that correct?
That is correct.
For today, we have issues that you have brought before the Commission that you would like to raise. The issues are about 15 in number. Some are longer than others, so let's not get worried. We might not be here the whole day, but you will have to just take your time and tell your story. The issues that are going to be raised are the incident of June 1997, which was from the State House Imam chastising and attacking the Jamaat on a Friday sermon. You will also talk about on the Tuesday, 9th of August 1997, the meeting that had happened with the Minister of Interior and Religious Affairs, which called the press conference. Then you'll also talk about on the 9th of August 1997, when there was a chartered flight for the central staff that left the Gambia for Ivory Coast, and it was for a press conference to be held. You'll also talk about the issues of the radios, which is DRTS, Radio FM1, Citizen FM, and other radios, and issues of the newspapers, the Daily Observer, and the rest that was stopped from actually airing any of your shows or publishing your articles. You'll also talk about the Makamasri. Thank you for that correction, mosque, and its demolition. You'll also talk about the Jamaat Popular TV radio show programs that were also stopped, the Jorobal Mosque that was being constructed, stopped but eventually constructed. You'll also talk about Saringai Mosque, the mistreatment of the 80 to 85-year-old Alcalo, visit of Dr. Zakir Naik, the Indian cleric. You'll also talk about the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat appeal to the former president to pardon prisoners, and he pardoned some of them. The Amir was stopped from attending Korite courtesy call. You'll also talk about burial matters, moon sighting controversy, and the land that was purchased by your sect and how it was seized and taken from you, and also about your wrongful dismissal from employment. Mr. Witness, are you comfortable with the points that have been highlighted?
Yes. I have a copy of that here.
Okay. So can we start off with you telling us your name, please?
My name is Baba F. Trawally.
Is that the only name you're referred to?
Some will call Baba Sirifu.
Mr. Tarawale, where were you born?
I was born in Sali, Kenya, Central Badibu, North Bank region.
Can you tell us the date you were born?
29th December 1956.
Can we have a bit of your background, including your educational background?
I did my primary school in Salakanye. Then I attended Crab Island Junior Secondary School and to St. Augustine High School. From St. Augustine High School, I worked briefly in Service Department on the Ministry of Local Government and Lands. In 1981 December, I went to United States of America at a school, Box Academy, a very small village in Keysville, where I spent almost a semester. From there, I went to Knoxville, Tennessee. Knoxville, Tennessee, that's where I got my BSc in accounting. Then I went to University of Tennessee, almost a year. I proceeded to University of District of Columbia in Washington, D.C. That's where I got my MBA. Then in 1990, I returned to the Gambia in February. I applied to seek a job in different ministries and departments.
Sorry, Mr. Trawally, before we get into you returning back, can you give us an idea of dates of when you were in the U.S.?
Yes. I was in U.S. In December 1981. And I got my bachelor's in 1986. My MBA in 1989.
Thank you. So then upon completion of the United States, you came back to the Gambia, and you've already told us that you tried to apply for jobs in several ministries. Can you continue from there, please?
Yeah. I was employed in Custom and Excise Department 8 August 1990. And I proceeded up to Deputy Director General Customs, and eventually Customs and Domestic Taxes departments form GRA, Gambia Revenue Authority, although you have other departments, but the main revenue departments are these two, Custom and Excise and Domestic Taxes.
So what you're trying to tell us is that in the earlier years, before we knew GRA, we had different departments. We had the customs, we had the income tax, and other revenue collectors that came together to eventually form what is known now as the Gambia Revenue Authority.
Yes.
Thank you. You may continue.
Yeah. So I was employed in Gambia Revenue Authority as a commissioner in February 2007. And in 2009, 22nd of May, I was dismissed upon, this was after arriving from Tanzania on a study tour. It was afterwards I was detained in NIA.
So at this point, you're telling us that you went on a study tour to Tanzania, and upon
yes.
your return, you were detained at the NIA.
Yes.
Was this detention on the day that you returned, or was it a few days after?
It was the same day. It was the same day when I arrived from Tanzania on Saturday. I was asked to go to NIA headquarters. One, Mr. Luis Gomez, and one, Mr. Luis Gomez is late now. Mr. Dembo Mbai. So I went with them to NIA. When we arrived there, they entered my name in the register and asked me to join. I found some of my colleagues there. Commissioner of Domestic Taxes, Mr. Sanya, Mr. Babukar Loom, Mr. late Idrissa Toure, Mr. Malamin Marena, 6 of us, yeah, and Modigay.
Thank you. And you already said you were there for 20 days.
Yes, 20 days from the 20th of May to 2009 to 9th of June 2009.
And at this point, were you still under employment with Customs and Exiles?
A few days later, on the 22nd, I received my dismissal letter while I was in NIA.
What happened after you received the letter?
There was nothing essentially happening because by then we were detained. This was around 22nd. I received my letter. So I took this letter faithfully.
So after your release, we will go into the NIA issues later as to what happened when you were there. Let's try and finish up of your employment. So after you got the dismissal letter and you were released from NIA, did anything happen after that?
After that, I think in 2017, the new government, when the new government came, there was an announcement that those who think they were wrongfully dismissed, they can fill a form from PMO and then submit to a particular office, which I did. So I was able to fill this form, send it to this committee. I appeared before the committee, and I was reinstated with retirement.
Before that reinstatement, during the Second Republic, were you at any time reinstated?
I was reinstated on the 17th of June, and then 18 it was rescinded.
So just to get this right, you received a dismissal letter whilst at the NIA. Then later on, you received a reinstatement letter, which was on the 17th of September 2009. And then the following day, which was the 18th of September 2009, you received another letter rescinding your reinstatement.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, we would like to tender in documents that actually show the witness's appointment and his reinstatement and dismissal as a bundle. And it's going to be 117A.
Request granted.
Okay. So, Mr. Trawally, we were just telling us about also with the new government, when it came in, you got a letter reinstating you. Can you tell us what that letter stated?
That letter stated that I have been reinstated with retirement, but there is no payment of salary. Other benefits like gratuity will be paid, and in fact, that was paid. But the salaries were not paid.
Just to be clear, from what date did the letter indicate that you were reinstated?
This particular letter is dated August 7, 2017. And maybe it may be necessary to read this portion. Please note that the period from the date you were dismissed to the retirement date will not attract payment of salary. However, your service will be connected for the computation of your retirement benefits.
Thank you. I believe that document is also in evidence already. Okay. So now let's go back to after you were dismissed at that time from your services in 2009. What happened after that?
After 2009, I continued to work with the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat as Amir, as the head of the Jamaat.
And what does that position entail?
That position entails in charge of all activities of the Jamaat, our tabligh, that is the preaching, training, education, humanitarian activities. The Amir is in charge of all these activities. And at the same time, our institutions, our hospitals, our clinics, our schools, both lower basic, upper basic, basic cycles, senior secondary schools. Amir is the chairman, board of governors. Humanity Force activities, this is an NGO, and IAAE is another humanitarian organization, International Association of Ahmadi Architects and Engineers. They are involved in building, constructing boreholes, as Humanity Force also is in the assisting different victims in various countries. And all these activities are being conducted here. So it is the duty of the Amir to make sure that these activities are executed correctly and, of course, promptly.
Can you tell us when the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat was formed in the Gambia?
Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, Madam, in the Gambia officially in 1961, but it was in 1955, one of the residents of Banjul, Mr. Baranjai, 11 Rankin Street, and Mr. Ibrahim Oliver, Primary Street, they wrote a letter to the Amir in Nigeria. Of course, with the support of the youths of Banjul and few elders, that we want Ahmadiyya here because we want to know our religion, Islam, better. You see, 50, 60 years ago, translation of the Holy Quran, you hardly see that. All Friday sermons are conducted in Arabic. A Chinese or Japanese will stand in front of you speaking something you don't understand. But with the coming of Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, the sermons were translated in different languages. At that time, Wolof, then Mandinka, Fula. So this is done throughout the country. After some time in 1959, it was decided, of course, by the Supreme Head of Worldwide Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, a missionary should be sent to the Gambia. And this missionary was sent from Nigeria. His name is Mr. Amsa Sawula. He was there in 1959. Then in 1960, it's a missionary, Mr. Jibril Said from Ghana also came. In 1961, a Pakistani missionary came as the Amir and missionary in charge, as the administrative head and also in charge of all the missionaries, C.H. Muhammad Sharif. So this is the way the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat came into this country, although these opponents are always quoting Sir Farman Singate bringing Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat into this country. But this is a wrong notion. It is incorrect. Alhaji Sir Farman Singate became a Governor General of this country 5th of July 1966. He signed the Bayat in 1963 through the hands of our first local missionary, Alhaji Ibrahim Kadri Jikine. He is from Sudukung, Jara. So Safarman Singate didn't bring Ahmadiyyat into this country,
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Trawally.
Yes, please.
Thank you. I think that point has been made clear. Can you tell us what is a bayat?
Bayat, this is in accordance with the sayings of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that when my promise, Mr. when Mahdi comes, you allege, you pay obedience to him, even if you have to crawl under the ice. So there are 10 conditions of this this bayat. Every Ahmadi, if you believe after our preaching activities, you believe that you have to follow the founder of this Jamaat, as Mr. Kulam Ahmad of Qadian, then you have to adhere, you have to fill that form, you have to accept these conditions, 10 conditions, to of course, to obey and fulfill the words of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and at the same time your commitment, to the Jamaat. And I think I have given you, Madam, a copy of actually 2 copies, one in English, one in Arabic.
We will get to that.
Okay.
We haven't gotten to
Thank
that one yet. I was just trying to establish how long your Jamaat has been in existence in the Gambia.
Yeah, officially since 1961.
Thank you very much. And so that means you did exist in the First Republic and you also existed in the Second Republic.
Yes.
Can you tell us what sort of treatments you received as a Jamaat and a sect in the First Republic?
First Republic, our treatment was very cordial. It was very good because the head of state, Kairaba Jawara, he is somebody who gives people's right. Yeah. If we go by history, what Sir Dawda has declared is even unknown to most Gambians, which I want to say now. In 1974, there was Islamic head of states conference in Pakistan. The purpose was to declare Ahmadis as kafir, as out of the pale of Islam. Sir Dawda in that meeting, said, Ahmadis in my country are Muslims. They are building mosque. And the first organization after independence of my country, these are the people, this is the organization that built hospitals, clinics, and mosques, and they are Muslims. All of the heads of state signed that declaration, except Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara, during the regime of the Prime Minister Bhutto in 1974. The same Bhutto in 1979 was hanged, and it was indicated to him, you are not a Muslim. So he was declared as kafir by the people of Pakistan, by the government of Pakistan. But I don't think, as far as we are concerned, Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, since he has considered himself a Muslim, he's a Muslim. But these are the wordings of some of these people. You know, I think I'll go into detail of that being a Muslim or not Muslim later.
Thank you, Mr. Trawally. So then now we can start to go into some of the issues that you faced in the Second Republic. And we will start off with the incident of June 1997.
It was Friday, 6th June 1997, when the Imam of State House at that time, Imam Abdullah Fatih, started castigating, attacking the Jamaat, saying so many things, that Ahmadis, they should be taken to square, that is Makar Square, next to the State House, to be killed. They will recant or be killed. So that was said by him. And this process went on for quite a while, from June up to September and beyond. And he claimed that we are not Muslim. But in fact, this is contrary to the commandments of God Almighty.
So, Mr. Trawally, if I may just take you back a bit. So you said there was a sermon that happened at the State House Mosque on a Friday by the said Imam Fatih. How did you find out about this sermon and what was said about the Ahmadiyyas?
We have a transcript of his, some of his sermons. What he was saying, he has said so many things, you know, which I would like for a few minutes to go through that, the allegations he made, and of course our responses.
Sorry,
because as
we would just like you to tell us how it came to your attention, like the sermons. How were you able to even get the transcript of the sermon?
His sermon is always shown on DRTS, both the TV and radio. And of course, our members watch, our relatives and friends and others, you know. So we were also monitoring, and we were also answering some of his castigations through radio FM1, owned by late George Christensen. We were using that radio and using another radio, Citizen FM, owned by late Babkar K.
So please, can you tell us what that sermon talked about?
That sermon, as I said first, you know, they are not Muslims. This is what he has accused Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat. And this is not true because according to the Holy Quran, according to the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whoever claims to be a Muslim, he or she is a Muslim. He is the founder of Islam. Allah Almighty has entrusted Islam to Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is the universal teacher, so you cannot know more than him unless you fabricated. In chapter 4, verse 95, for example, "O you believe, say not to anyone who greets you with the greeting of peace, that is, Assalamu alaikum, like other Muslims, you are not a Muslim." And the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Write down for me the name of everyone who calls himself a Muslim." This is Bukhari. You know, you have different books, Bukhari, Nisai, you have Muslim, Tirmidhi, different categories of books, compilation of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's saying. So this will indicate to one that his statement is not correct. What is in the heart of a person, only Allah Almighty knows that. And Madam, if you will allow me, I'll also indicate that the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam one time sent two of his companions, one of them Usama bin Zahid. He said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent us to the oasis of Johanna tribe. We caught them early in the morning at their water fountains. And Ansari and I, Ansari, these are people who migrated to Mecca. So one of them and this Zahid case one of these people from Johanna tribe and apprehended him. When we overpowered him, he exclaimed, "La ilaha illallah, there is none worthy of worship except Allah." Because my Ansari companion to refrain his hand from him, but I pierced him with a spear and killed him. Yeah. When we returned to Medina, and the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to know of the incident, he asked, "O Usama, did you kill him in spite of the fact that he had recited La ilaha illallah, O Prophet of Allah?" Usama said, he was saying these words, mercy, to ensure his safety. The Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam continued, kept on repeating his question to a point when I wish, Zahid is saying this, I had not become a Muslim before that day. Another tradition relates, the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, you still kill him, even though he had affirmed La ilaha illallah? I clarified, "O Prophet of Allah, he had said that because he was afraid of the weapon." The Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam exclaimed, "Why did you cut his heart open to make sure if he said it from the core of his heart?" The Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam repeated this remark so many times that I wish I had not become a Muslim before that day. This is Bukhari. So, Madam, what this is telling us, the sayings of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, nobody on the earth, No organization, no government can declare another person a non-Muslim or outside the pale of Islam. It's an individual matter. It is between you and God. Nobody else. You take care of yourself, I will take care of myself. He does, she does. That is all. This is what this hadith is saying.
Thank you, Mr. Trawally. So what you're trying to tell us is that the sermon that was given by Imam Fati was particularly targeted for your sect and was actually indicating that you are not Muslims.
Yes.
So what did you do after that when you heard that sermon? What was the next action that you took?
After that, Madam, as I said earlier, we were always responding and contacting the authorities. We went to the Secretary of State for Interior, responsible for religious affairs. Actually, he called us, and we have written different letters. I think you have some of these letters. We have also sent, I think, 2 letters to the President of the country explaining the situation.
So, Mr. Trawally?
Yes, please.
I would like us to go through the letter of June 23rd, 1997, which was one of the letters you wrote to Yahya AJJ Jammeh.
Yes. Yes, Madam, there was a letter dated 23rd of June, 1997.
Thank you. Mr. Trawally, I would like you to read paragraphs 1, 2, 3, and 4 of that said letter.
1, 2,
3, and 4, leaving out the greeting part where it says Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, Your Excellency, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. The Gambia has traditionally been and remains a peaceful country with high level of religious tolerance, and a society where adherents of different religious denominations have been living in absolute peace and proverbial harmony. Ahmadi Muslims have also been enjoying this cordial atmosphere of freedom, goodwill, and brotherhood during the past 3 decades, as also during the period of your wise leadership during the last 3 years. May I, however, with due reverence, appraise Your Excellency of the serious tension building up of the late in the religious circle of this peaceful country due to a highly provocative Friday's sermon of Imam Abdullah Fati of the State House Mosque. We are afraid if allowed to continue unabated, this may lead to a serious breakdown of law and order. By the grace of Allah, we the Ahmadis are Muslims, and we believe in the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as the chief of the prophets, as the law-bearing prophet, and follow his sunnah to the letter. Imam Fati has been blatantly declaring Ahmadi Muslims as kafir in his khutbahs, that's Friday sermons, from the pulpit of the State House Mosque for the past 3 Fridays.
And the next paragraph?
Next paragraph, Imam Fati has been instigating Muslims that Ahmadis should be forced to renounce their faith, and if they fail to do so, they should be brought to the square, that is Makat Square, and killed.
Thank you, Mr. Trawally. So from indication, we can see that in the first 3 years of them, like the old government taking over, you had no issues.
Exactly.
In the first 3 years. So in this letter, it's also indicated that it's after Imam Fati started giving certain sermons against your sect that you started facing issues. Is that correct?
That is true.
And in this same letter, he also indicated that if you do not stop the form of worship that you are following, you should be brought to Makati Square and killed.
Yes.
After you sent this letter, what happened next? Can you tell us?
I don't think directly we have received any letter from the president, but we have received a letter dated July 10th, 1997.
And in that letter, can you please read to us where it says Roman number 1, 2, and 3?
Your letter was discussed at the highest government level, following which I have been requested to reassure you of the following. The Gambia is a secular state, and the government will continue to protect religious freedom and uphold the light of worship, whilst at the same time continue to encourage religious tolerance. The government and indeed the Gambian people highly appreciate the invaluable contributions the Ahmadiyya mission is rendering towards the development of this country, particularly in education and health sectors. The sermons delivered by Imam Abdullah Fati are personal and in no way represent the opinion or policy of this government. His sermons are regarded as those of an imam of any other mosque, be he the imam of Kiti Mosque, the imam of Talending Kunjam Mosque, or the imam of any other mosque. This is so because Imam Abdullah Fati is neither a public officer nor does he receive any benefit from the state.
Thank you, Mr. Trawally. So when you received that response, what was the next action that you took?
Madam, we have also seen the Interior Minister by then. On that particular date, it was really very tough because there was a scuffle in his office, in the office of Secretary of State Interior.
Can you please give us his name?
Retired Momodu Bojang. He was the minister by then. Because what happened, this man started, blaming our Amir, former Amir, and the Secretary General of the Jamaat. The trend he was taking, I said, I have to stop this man. Otherwise, he may even say something against our Khalifa, the supreme, spiritual and supreme head of worldwide Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat. So I have to stop it. He said something, I said, it's not true. So the minister got up from his seat and came to me. So there was a scuffle. Others, brother Musa, Kinte, brother Kemo Sonko, and late Jata Balde, he was the one whom he used to send to various places. So they separated us. The permanent secretary at the Minister of the State Department of Interior was Mamadou Akibayo. Mamadou Akibayo has to call the Inspector General of Police by then. He is FR Gemme. He said, your man has started again, you know.
Sorry, Mr. Trawally. We have to put the interpreters on standby because if you want to speak a different language, they would need to interpret.
Okay.
Interpreters.
So he called the minister, the Inspector General of Police, and said, your man has started. But before that, he called the president to report our matter to him. He could not get the president. He called the commander of the State House commander. I said to myself, I said, you will know how God Almighty worked. So he called all these people in the State House. He could not get anybody. But afterwards, the president called him concerning a group in Bundu. You know. So he didn't talk about that to the president. But afterwards, he came to understand, he changed his view, he said this imam is the one who started all this and that and that. Even one day, when he gave a sermon, I have to go after him and I have to go to Radio Gambia to ask them not to even broadcast, you know. So that was a positive part of it. Of course, we went to the vice president, Asrinja Sedi, who really sympathized. You know, he was very much. She was very much surprised that there was a problem between me and.
The sermons that were given by Imam Fati had an influence on the way government perceived your sect, which is the Muslim Ahmadiyya.
Of course, you see, I cannot fully believe, you know, as indicated in the letter, that this is personal. You know, it's like any other mosque. Of course, any other mosque could have done that. When this Jamaat came to this country, you know, people were fighting tooth and nail, but not a single person has ever succeeded. But when you have in that ground a mosque, a sermon attended by the president, by other authorities, including ministers, saying this, and you are associating yourself from that, it is very difficult for us to believe that or to take it wholeheartedly.
Thank you very much, Mr. Trawally. So then how did this lead us to the incident of when the central staff left for Ivory Coast?
Madam, I think it was because of the circumstances prevailing, our supreme head, spiritual and supreme head of worldwide Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, decided that the central staff, the doctors, the teachers, and others should leave the country. And they left the country on the 3rd of September 1997 for Ivory Coast. Of course, from there, some were taken to other countries, others went to Pakistan.
So in other words, it affected your sect. One, it also affected the NGO services that you were actually running in the Gambia.
Definitely, it affected the entire population. Yeah, because after the departure, there was a press conference I called at Talending headquarters, attended by all the media houses, where I have said our hospital is closed, but our schools will be open. So people were very much sad about that outcry, because these medical services, you know, they are for the Gambian people, you know, so we should not in any way to stop that. So we work hard as far as administration is concerned, so that we can get doctors from outside and maybe from here. So we were able to get a doctor from Sierra Leone, Muhammad Ibrahim Kamara, who came, and Dr. Abubakar Gay, former minister. So they reopened the hospital, because one time Ministry of Interior, that is State Department of Interior, wrote that the teachers, the doctors can come, but missionaries cannot come. So we don't buy that, we don't take that. And this message was sent to our international headquarters. The efforts of the missionaries, due to that, teachers later came. Doctors came. They are the foundation of all the activities. So therefore, we cannot accept that. So eventually, I think government saw that this is necessary. It is obvious that the missionaries should come. So missionary came, alhamdulillah.
So when government got to the point where they realized that having had forced your sect to leave and not allow missionaries to come in, it affected the hospitals and the schools. So eventually had to compromise and allow your missionaries to come back in so that the hospitals and the schools can function.
The schools were functioning. The school were functioning fully because, for example, Nusrat, we have our principal, Karmo S. Bojan, Basse Nasir, we have Mr. Mamadi Sise as principal. We have our principal, Mr. Koto, as principal of Tahir, Mansakonko. Yeah. So our schools were functioning, all activities were going on, but the medical part was a problem. So we have to work very hard on that so that we can have these people coming back.
So in other words, though, eventually your missionaries were allowed to come back so that the practices can go on?
Yes.
Thank you. You talked about a press conference that you also held. What happened after the press conference? Can you tell us?
I think the purpose of that press conference is to inform the Gambian people that these essential services of our medical will be temporarily closed, and to indicate that we are Gambians. We are not second-class citizens. Actually, there's nothing like first or second-class citizen. It's due to frustration that people will say you are treating us as second-class citizens. But in that press conference, I have indicated that we are Muslims, we are following the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Holy Quran we are following, and the Sunnah, the practices of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There is no power under the heaven and earth that can move us, and we are citizens of this country. We will adhere to that. Yeah. So eventually they cannot do anything, because we cannot be expelled from this country. Even one time I learned, if it is true, the Imam Fatih has said, the tails have gone. The tails have gone. Afterwards, he changed his wording. They have gone, but the seeds are here. Seeds germinate. So he says so. So this is the determination we have, and members across the Gambia, they were very, very firm, and we were praying throughout.
Thank you, Mr. Trawally.
Things are in the hands of God Almighty. These are worldly powers entrusted to you so that you can execute justly.
Thank you. So what I want to get at is, after the press conference, what difficulties did you have in holding your TVs and your radio shows?
Our TV and radio programs were stopped. We had a very popular TV program and, of course, radio program at Radio Gambia. They were all stopped. But it did not end there, because when we were stopped at the government, at GRTS, we attempted to contact the private stations like West Coast, also Star FM, because by then FM1, George Christensen's radio had a problem, and Citizen FM also was closed. So we had to go to these radio stations. And then we were told, our presenters at these radio programs told that you have to go to Supreme Islamic Council to get a form there, fill and send to them. So we were stopped. Even Star FM, we have paid $30,000. After a few programs, we were told about this thing. And we decided that we are not going to contact them. We are not going to take any form, fill and send to Supreme Islamic Council. Supreme Islamic Council does not have that authority, that mandate to stop any program or to issue approval for you to have a program, especially private station.
Mr. Trawally, are you members of the Islamic Supreme Council?
We are not members.
Okay.
We are not members, and we cannot be members. Supreme Islamic Council was formed in 1992. Jamaat came to this country officially in 1961. And if we are not contacted, if we are not embraced to come in, we are not going to beg for that. In other countries, madam, for your information, when you go to Ghana, you have interreligious council. If the president is a non-Ahmadi Muslim, the secretary will be Ahmadi Muslim, and vice versa. When you go to Nigeria, inter-religious council, the largest one is Lagos chapter. There, the president one time was an Ahmadi Muslim. You go to Sierra Leone, the same. So you cannot have a political council whereby you are dictated one way or the other, or you don't have courage to execute your duties justly. We cannot be in that part of council. And it's the same as what is happening now between the current Supreme Islamic Council and the other council also. All about politics. It's not matter of taqwa or righteousness. It's not matter of that, because we have seen that. Maybe we'll come to that in the afternoon. Using the president's name, to attack the Jamaat, to say president said you should leave the Jamaat, this and that. Some of them we are just misquoting the president, but we'll come to that later when we come to Sarangai issue and other issues.
Yes, we will. So then when you were told that you should go get a permit from the Supreme Islamic Council before you can continue with any programs on air, and you didn't think you should actually go through that process, what were the next steps that you did?
The next step, we have to tell our members, not necessarily TV, radio, FM, or government stations are the only way of preaching or educating. Let's continue to go directly to the people. Preach them, educate them, train them. This is the best way. So we were patient, because that is all we can exercise at that time. And this is in accordance with Islam. You will see a force, attacking you, but you have to exercise patience. So this is what we did during those days.
So you used another forum, which was direct contact with the people.
Yeah, the forum, as I said, contacting the people directly, and also our magazine, Al-Islam, our monthly magazine. This has been produced monthly. So through that, we sent our messages, and not only that, during our different gatherings, we extend the messages.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chair, at this point, I would like to tender in the letters that were sent to the President then and the Minister of Interior and the replies that were obtained. And that will be Exhibit 117B.
Request granted.
Madam, I think there's another letter. I don't know whether you have got that. Dated 10th August 1997, threatened to persecute Ahmadi Muslims.
Mr. Witness.
This was sent to the President, His Excellency Yahya A.J. Jammeh.
Yes, Mr. Trawally, that's the letter I'm coming to next.
Okay, please.
Thank you for already stating the date of the letter and its purpose, which was an open letter to the President then. Mr. Trawally, can you read the second paragraph of that letter, please?
However, during the last 2 months, the peace and security which we have been enjoying have been threatened. The Imam of the State House Mosque, Abdullah Fatih, started a very dangerous propaganda against our Jamaat on the 6th June 1997, insulting the holy founder of the Jamaat and calling us kafirs. In his second khutbah, that's Friday sermon, on the same issue the following week, he said, among others, that Ahmadi should be taken to July 22nd, be asked to convert to Islam or be killed. Although we have since explained to the Honorable Secretary of State for Religious Affairs, Imam Fatih is still persisting in his malicious propaganda. It is worth of note that the very day he started the propaganda was the day we were stopped from using the national media, Radio Gambia and Gambia Radio for preaching. Immediately after this, the mosque at the Talending Islamic Institute, some Radio Gambia programs, especially Islamic Forum in Mandinka, and some Islamic programs over Radio Kerewan, NBD, started on the same onslaught. We did not know what we have done to deserve such a treatment all of a sudden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Trawally. So this all goes back to sermons and statements that were being made by Imam Abdullah Fatih.
Exactly.
And in this same letter, you ask for audience with the said president so that you can actually be heard directly by him.
Yes.
Did he grant you that audience?
No.
Did you receive any letter in response to this letter?
Madam, we have not received any letter after this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Trawally. Mr. Chair, at this point, I would like to put this document in as evidence, and it will be 117C.
Request granted.
Thank you. And at this point, I think we can break for the first break, and then we'll start again for the second session.
Madam, there are 2 publications. I don't know whether they are tendered.
After the break, we will go into those ones.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, Council, and thank you, Mr. Trawally. We will take a 30-minute break and come back at 12 noon. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.